$27 million in 2025 on his current contract, and reports that he could be seeking $50 million per year in a new contract.
There's no dispute, and let's not get it twisted in regards to anybody wanting him to be our quarterback. Now, there's layers to it. We had something in mind, he had something in mind, and nobody was right or wrong. And then ultimately you're saying, hey, there's a ton of interest because this guy's an incredible player. He and I have had great dialogue throughout this process. I know where we wanted to be able to end up, but these decisions aren't made in a vacuum, and that's kind of the challenging part about it. But love this guy, and he's been incredible for us.
All right, now I'll properly introduce you. Tim Hasselbeck, great to have you with us. Sorry, I didn't know if you guys were jumping in on that quick take. All right, Mad Dog, is Stafford worth the price that he may be seeking?
To the right team, he might be. The Giants, the Giants going to win with Matthew Stafford. He's 37 years of age, Timmy. He's making $50 million. You're going to have to also make a trade. Right. So you're going to pay him $50 million, which is going to upend your cap, and then you got to pay him. Then you got to trade him with you got to make a trade with the Rams. You're not going to give him to you. You got to give him whatever that draft booty is going to be, and it won't be the third pick. Right. So it's almost a double-edged sword with him. And listen, I think the Rams are in very good shape. Now Tim's going to disagree with this. I'm not sure how Stevie feels about it. They can let Stafford do what he wants, and if he leaves, they can get a trade, get some draft collateral, and I think they'll sign Aaron Rodgers. That's what I think they're going to do. They have him in the background. Warm weather with that offense, he'll play well.
Here's what I think about what we heard Sean McVay said. He basically said, hey, there's no dispute. We had something in mind, meaning we had a price in mind for you. We'll adjust your contract. You had something else in mind. Like that. So basically, and then he says, and then you're telling us, meaning his agent, that there would be a ton of interest out there for you, which I think would be true. If he were free and you didn't have to trade for him, he would be the premier free agent at the position, okay? Sure. So what I would say is this. He's going to make less money than Kirk Cousins is going to make this year. It's off. It's wrong. He's been the Rams are not a playoff team without Matthew Stafford. That's how good he's been for them. So I would say this, in terms of the idea, and this is why I think it's hard, the idea that you want to reward a 37-year-old quarterback. Guys' physical skills typically start to diminish at this point. His haven't. He's a bit of a unicorn that way. Getting older and slower, which you would be doing with Aaron Rodgers, is not really the recipe to improve at the position. And Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be cheap either. So it would be less. It would be less than what Stafford would command, but it's not going to be dirt cheap. So here's what I think happened. I think the Rams are saying, we'd like you, but we're not sure the market is what you're claiming the market is. Go prove it. Now, here's the kicker. Sam Darnold is also represented by the same people. They're going to know the quarterback market, and they're going to be able to say, hey, this is what it is.
Stephen A?
Couple of things. Let's get something out of the way. Can we please get the moribund, the pathetic, the modern definition of football purgatory that is the New York Giants out the damn conversation? You're Matthew Stafford, okay? The only reason you would go to East Rutherford, New Jersey to play in the swamp, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a swamp. I drive by it all the time. It's a swamp. The stench hits you, okay? Why the hell would you depart from SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California to go play for the New York Giants other than money? Let's get that out the way. There's plenty of other teams that should be looking at Matthew Stafford, who's still a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. By the way, a 5-2 record in the postseason with the Rams, which includes a Super Bowl title. 15 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. Oh, by the way, the only person that had more game-winning drives, comeback victories last season, the only person that had more than him was Patrick Mahomes. This is who Matthew Stafford is. The brother's a stud. Now let's get down to the brass tacks of it all, Doggy, and Tim. Good to see you, Tim, by the way. Here's the deal, y'all. I'm going to give you some names. These are all the quarterbacks, or not all of them, but these are the quarterbacks that are getting paid more than Matthew Stafford right now. Matthew Stafford is scheduled to make $27 million, okay? Dak Prescott is at 60. Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, and Jordan Love are at $55 million. Tua Tagovailoa and Jared Goff are at $53 million. Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson are at $52 million. Justin Herbert being at $52.5. And Jalen Hurts is at $51. You're Matthew Stafford. I understand what the Rams are saying. I get what Sean McVay is saying. We want him. We don't want to lose him. It's just that the price is too steep. We're not willing to pay that. I get that. Figure it out. Figure it out. Because when I watched the playoffs this year, the Los Angeles Rams were the only team that gave the Eagles a real run for their money, okay? And Matthew Stafford had a lot to do with that. The brother's a top 10 quarterback. The brother's elite. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's experienced. Even when it was football purgatory in Detroit all of those years, nobody blamed him because we saw that that brother could ball, okay? And even at the age of 37, he still can. Does he deserve $50 million? You're damn right he does. And you got to figure out a way to come close to it. And if you don't do it, somebody else needs to, because what we're not going to debate on the show this morning is whether or not Matthew Stafford, even at his age, based on his performance and when we last saw him and what we've been seeing from him, Matthew Stafford is worth $50 million a year as a quarterback in the NFL in today's market. There is no way around it. Other guys are getting over that just because, all right, this is what they're projected to be. Well, Matthew Stafford has already been that. He deserves his money. Somebody better find a way to give it to him.
Yeah, the disagreement I have with you on that, and we'll throw it back to Tim here in a minute, Steve, is that he is worth that money to a team that is ready to win. He is not worth that money to a team that's rebuilding because he's too old. By the time you get good with him, he's going to be 40, 41 years of age who doesn't run, and you'd have to be a little concerned by that. So if you want to tell me he's going to go to Pittsburgh, a team that has a chance to be very good and we be in a postseason, I'll buy that. Giants, Tennessee, Cleveland, that I'm not so sure about. So that's where the money becomes tricky.
And I think he's played with a top 10 defense one time in his career. I think it's the year he won the Super Bowl. Like, Matthew Stafford has not always been surrounded by good teams, and so it should matter to him. He's reaped the reward of that. Look, he's worth the money based on how he's played. And typically in free agency and all that stuff, the way the money gets spent is usually dictated by age and injury history. Some guys defy the age thing longer than others. Stafford's done that. The physical skills, no, he doesn't move around great. But the physical skills in terms of how he throws has not changed. And so, like, in many regards, look, to me, the most important, the team that should be after him the most is the team that he's on. And I think that's kind of what Stephen A. is saying there. It's like, Rams, like, what are you doing? Why would you let him out of your building?
You're still
to
in the
go
mix.
like you're a playoff team with him. You are not without him, with Rodgers or whoever the next guy may be.
Well, they got to the Super Bowl with
Wait,
Goff.
real quick, I got one question. How much of a drop-off between Rodgers and Stafford?
I think there's a significant drop-off between both guys, just for perspective. 37 and no real major injury history, been banged up and bruised. Rodgers, 2 years removed from an Achilles and 41. Like, there's a big difference between that stretch.
Stephen A., you want to say something?
I know one thing. I better not hear some damn narrative about Stetson Bennett. I don't want to hear that, which is what people were talking about just the other day. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear anything like that, okay? It's Matthew Stafford. Find a way to get him his money if you want to legitimately compete for a championship. Aaron Donald retire. You want to let Matthew Stafford walk out the door? With Puka Nacua still in your stable, with the ability to go and get another receiver, be my guest. They'll regret it.
Yep. We'll leave it there, guys. When we come back on First Take, more NFL to get into. We mentioned the Eagles. Have the Eagles pushed it too far with their famous play?
Sẽ móc các mũi tiếp theo nha mọi người. Cứ từng mũi xuống cho đến hết. Đây mình tiếp tục mình móc xuống. Tiếp tục này. Cứ móc lần lượt từng mũi nhé. Móc thêm mũi tiếp theo nữa. Mọi người cứ làm luân phiên cho đến hết. Đấy. Sẽ được những cái mũi như thế.